Welcome back to the channel, Rare Coins History, fellow coin hunters, history lovers, and collectors from around the world. Today, we have something truly special to talk about, something small in size but massive in historical and collectible value. We're digging deep into the story behind one of the most iconic coins in American history, the 1957 Lincoln Wheat Penny with a mint mark. Yes, we're talking about the classic copper 1-cent coin that's been sitting in drawers, jars, and old wallets for decades. But don't let its tiny value fool you. This coin carries more than just a number. It carries a legacy, a story, and if you're lucky, a surprising fortune. So grab your favorite drink, sit back, and join us on this fascinating journey into American coinage, where a 1957 penny could be worth far more than you'd ever expect. Let's rewind the clock to the late 1950s, a time when America was buzzing with energy. Rock and roll was booming, cars had fins, TV was black and white, and President Eisenhower was in office. The United States was growing and transforming fast, and the coins in people's pockets were witnesses to history. Among them was a small copper coin that many didn't pay much attention to, but which would later become a star in the world of numismatics. The Lincoln Wheat Penny was first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. This was actually the first U.S. coin to feature a real person. Before that, coins showed images of liberty. And since then, Lincoln's face has remained on the penny ever since. The 1957 edition was part of the final chapter of the Wheat Penny series, as the design would change to the Lincoln Memorial reverse the very next year. In 1959.So, the 1957 Wheat Penny marks the end of an era. It's a final salute to a classic American design that had been in circulation for nearly 50 years. On the obverse side, you see Lincoln's famous profile, facing right, with the words, "In God We Trust," above, "Liberty," to the left, and the date, 1957, on the right. Just beneath the date, you might notice a tiny letter, D. This stands for the Denver Mint, where many of these coins were produced. Others came from Philadelphia and carry no mint mark. On the reverse side, you're treated to the iconic wheat stalks, two curved sheaves of wheat flanking the bold words, 1 cent, and United States of America. Above it reads, E pluribus unum, which means, out of many, one. It's a simple but powerful design, one that millions of Americans used in everyday life, yet today, it represents a timeless symbol of the nation's strength and unity. But what makes the 1957 penny so special to collectors today? First, it's all about condition. Most of these pennies were used for everyday purchases: gum, soda, newspapers, you name it. As a result, most examples you'll find today are worn down, scratched, or dull. But if you happen to find a 1957 Wheat Penny in uncirculated or mint state condition, that changes the game entirely. Coins that still shine with their original luster, sharp detail, and clean surfaces are incredibly valuable, especially to serious collectors and investors. Second, rarity within condition is key. The U.S. Mint struck hundreds of millions of 1957 pennies, but only a small number have survived in pristine condition. Even fewer have been carefully preserved in coin albums, protective cases, or discovered in untouched rolls. These are the ones that really catch a collector's eye. And while many 1957 pennies are common, it's the top-tier examples, those graded MS 65 and above, that truly stand out. But there's more. Some 1957 wheat pennies feature minting errors, and these can dramatically increase their value. You might find examples with doubled dies, off-center strikes, or even planchet flaws. A doubled die, for example, occurs when the coin's design is stamped more than once by mistake, creating a visible doubling effect, usually on the date or lettering. These rare errors are like winning the numismatic lottery, and collectors are willing to pay a premium to own one. Let's not forget the nostalgia and emotional connection these coins bring. Many of us remember finding wheat pennies in our piggy banks as kids or receiving one in change from a local shop. They evoke memories of simpler times, of family collections passed down from generation to generation. That sentimental value, combined with historical and monetary value, makes the 1957 wheat penny a triple threat in the coin collecting world. So how can you tell if your 1957 penny is valuable? Start by checking the mint mark. If it has a D under the date, it came from Denver. Then look closely at its condition. Is the surface shiny and smooth? Are the design details crisp and unbroken? You might even consider having it graded by a professional coin grading service. Grading can help determine its market value and verify its authenticity. If your coin shows no signs of wear and shines like the day it was minted, it could be worth far more than a single cent. And if you happen to spot a doubling effect or any strange misprint, don't ignore it. These little imperfections could add thousands to the value of your coin. Now, we've taken a full journey through history, design, condition, and collector insight. But here's the moment you've been waiting for. A 1957 Lincoln wheat penny with a Denver mint mark, in perfect uncirculated condition, especially one with a rare error, has been known to sell for as much as $43,000. Yes, that's right. $43,000 for a 1-cent coin. It's hard to believe that something so small, so seemingly ordinary, could be worth so much. But that's the magic of coin collecting: hidden treasures, rich stories, and the thrill of discovery. So if you've got an old coin jar, a forgotten album, or just some pennies lying around the house, check them carefully. That tiny piece of copper might just be your ticket to something extraordinary. Today, we're bringing you a deep dive into one of the most fascinating coins from the World War II era, an American copper classic that may be hiding in your change jar or tucked away in an old drawer, the 1945 Lincoln wheat penny with a mint mark. Now, this isn't just a penny, it's a window into the past, a slice of American history, and possibly a treasure worth far more than you'd ever expect. Most people look at old coins and see just face value. But coin collectors and numismatists? They see potential, stories, rarity, and sometimes, pure gold in the form of copper. So don't go anywhere, because by the end of this video, we'll tell you how a coin that once bought bubble gum or a newspaper might now be worth up to $46,000. To understand the significance of the 1945 Lincoln wheat penny, let's step back into the context of its creation. The year was 1945. World War II was coming to a dramatic close. American troops were returning home victorious, and the country was entering a new era of growth and recovery. In the middle of these monumental global events, everyday Americans were spending and saving coins that are now powerful reminders of a world transformed. The Lincoln wheat penny had already become an American staple since its introduction in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. Designed by Victor David Brenner, this was the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure, and its release was revolutionary. By 1945, this design had already become iconic, but it was still produced with the same values of simplicity and national pride. On the front side, or obverse, of the coin, you'll find Lincoln's profile: serious, dignified, and timeless. Above his head reads, "In God We Trust." To the left is the word liberty, and to the right, the date, 1945. Below the date, depending on the version you have, you may see a small mint mark, either D for Denver or S for San Francisco. If there is no mint mark, the coin was struck in Philadelphia, which was the main mint and didn't use a letter for that period. Flip the coin over to the reverse side, and you'll be greeted by two elegant wheat stalks arching along the edges. Between them, the bold words, 1 cent and United States of America. Above this, the Latin motto, E pluribus unum, meaning, out of many, one. This reverse design gave the coin its popular nickname, the wheat penny. At first glance, it might seem like just another copper coin. After all, over 1 billion of these pennies were minted in 1945 across the 3 U.S. mint facilities. But here's where it gets exciting: not all of them are created equal. And not all of them survived in collectible condition. What sets one penny apart from another is more than just the date. It's about condition, rarity, mint errors, and collector demand. Let's talk about condition first. A coin's grade, or state of preservation, plays a huge role in its value. Most 1945 pennies were heavily circulated. They passed through thousands of hands, traded for candy, newspapers, stamps, or snacks. These coins typically show wear, fading details, and loss of their original luster. But every once in a while, someone stashed a handful of fresh, uncirculated pennies away in a roll or collection. These are the coins that are now sought after by serious collectors. A 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny in mint state, especially graded MS 65 or higher, can bring in a significant amount of money. Why? Because flawless coins from this era are getting harder and harder to find. Each passing year reduces the population of high-grade specimens, which only drives demand and value higher. But wait, it gets even more interesting when you add minting errors into the mix. Some 1945 wheat pennies were struck with die cracks, off-center images, double dies, or even wrong planchets, rare mistakes that occurred during the minting process. These errors were never meant to happen, and most were caught before the coins entered circulation. But a few slipped through the cracks, and now they're among the most desirable coins in the collector world. Imagine finding a 1945 D penny with a double date or lettering, or one that was struck off-center so that part of the design is missing. These error coins are not only rare but also one of a kind. Each one tells its own story, and collectors will pay handsomely for them, especially when they're paired with great condition and clear error visibility. Another factor in determining a coin's value is eye appeal. Even among mint state coins, the color, shine, and strike clarity matter. Some 1945 wheat pennies have developed a rich red or rainbow-like tone over the years, making them stand out even more. Coins that are visually stunning tend to draw attention at auctions, and fetch higher prices. Now, here's something many people overlook. Just because a coin looks old or dark doesn't mean it's worthless. In fact, some rare errors and copper varieties might be hiding beneath the surface of what looks like a common penny. That's why collectors use magnifying glasses, microscopes, and even professional grading services to evaluate each detail. You might be sitting on a high-value penny without even knowing it. So what should you look for in a 1945 wheat penny? A clear, legible date with a mint mark, especially D or S, minimal scratches or wear, sharp detail on Lincoln's hair, jawline, and coat, strong reverse lettering and wheat stock definition. Any unusual doubling or irregular features. If you find a coin that meets those conditions, it may be worth sending in for professional grading. And if it's a rare mint state error coin, you could be in for a big surprise. Which brings us to the moment you've been waiting for. If you are lucky enough to own a 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny with a mint mark, in uncirculated condition, and possibly featuring a mint error, its value could skyrocket to an astonishing $46,000. That's right, $46,000 for a single 1-cent coin. So next time you come across an old penny, don't just toss it aside. Take a moment. Examine it. That little copper coin might just be hiding a fortune right in plain sight. Today, we're turning our attention to something that might be sitting unnoticed in your coin jar, forgotten in a drawer, or resting quietly in your grandfather's old collection, the humble yet historic 1957 Lincoln Wheat Penny with mint mark. Don't let its small size or face value of 1 cent fool you. This little copper coin is far more than just spare change. It holds stories from a changing America, craftsmanship from a different era, and, if you're lucky, a hidden fortune. So stay with me until the very end of this video, because the value of this penny might just blow your mind. Let's begin our journey with the time period that gave birth to this iconic coin, the year 1957. America was in the midst of a post-war boom. The Cold War was heating up. Families were moving to the suburbs, televisions were becoming common in homes, and Elvis Presley was changing music forever. Amid this wave of change, the U.S. Mint was still producing one of the most recognizable coins in American history, the Lincoln Wheat Penny. Now, let's talk about design. The Lincoln Wheat Penny, originally introduced in 1909, was designed by Victor David Brenner to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was a monumental decision. Lincoln was the first real person to appear on American coinage, and his legacy as a unifier during one of America's darkest times made him the perfect candidate. On the obverse side of the coin, we see Lincoln's dignified profile facing right. The inscriptions include, "In God We Trust," at the top, "Liberty," to the left, and the date 1957 on the right. Below the date, you may notice a tiny letter, either a D or an S. This is what's called a mint mark, and it tells you where the coin was produced. A D indicates that the coin was struck at the Denver Mint, while an S stands for San Francisco. If there's no letter, then the coin was minted in Philadelphia. Flip the coin over to see the reverse side, and you're greeted by two elegantly curved stalks of wheat flanking the inscriptions, 1 cent and United States of America. Above it reads the Latin phrase, e pluribus unum, meaning, out of many, one. This simple, balanced design gave the coin its popular nickname, the Wheat Penny. And in 1957, this reverse design was reaching the end of its life, because just 2 years later, in 1959, the mint would replace the wheat stalks with the image of the Lincoln Memorial. This makes the 1957 Wheat Penny one of the final coins to carry the original reverse design. And because of that, it holds a special place in the hearts of collectors. But not all 1957 pennies are the same, and this is where the real treasure hunt begins. You see, the U.S. Mint struck over 1.3 billion Lincoln Wheat Pennies in 1957, making it one of the most commonly produced years. So naturally, most of these coins are very easy to find. They were mass-produced for daily use, purchased candy, newspapers, soda, and stamps. Most have been through decades of pockets, purses, and piggy banks. As a result, they're worn, scratched, dull, and have little value beyond nostalgia, but among those billions, there exists a tiny fraction of exceptional coins, the ones that were never circulated, never scratched, and never lost their original shine. These are known as uncirculated or mint state coins. Even more valuable are those with minting errors, making them incredibly rare and highly desirable to collectors. Let's break that down. When a coin leaves the mint in perfect condition, with no signs of handling or wear, it can be professionally graded. Grading companies like PCGS and NGC use a 70-point scale to determine condition. Coins graded MS-65 and above are considered investment grade, and that's where real value starts to kick in. But here's where it gets even more exciting: error coins. During the minting process, mistakes can happen. The dies used to strike the coin may become misaligned. The metal planchets might be the wrong size. Sometimes a coin gets struck multiple times, or the design appears slightly doubled. These are called double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, and more. They're extremely rare, and extremely valuable. Now imagine finding a 1957 D Wheat Penny that has been perfectly preserved since the day it was struck. No scratches. No discoloration. No wear. Then, on top of that, it contains a minting error that makes it truly unique. To a collector, this is like finding a needle in a haystack, and that needle could be worth thousands, even without errors. A flawless 1957 penny with a deep red shine and a sharp strike can command high prices at auction. Add rarity, and you've got a dream coin. It's also worth noting that this coin's value is not only driven by condition and errors, but also by demand. The Lincoln Wheat Penny series is one of the most popular coin sets collected by both beginners and professionals. Everyone from hobbyists to serious investors are looking to complete their collections, and high-grade examples from the final years of the wheat design are in especially high demand. So what should you do if you think you have a valuable 1957 Wheat Penny? First, examine the coin under good lighting or a magnifying glass. Look at the date, mint mark, and edges. Is it shiny? Are the details crisp? If yes, that's a good sign. Then, check for unusual features, doubling of the numbers or letters, off-center designs, or any strike irregularities. These are what you want to find. If your coin shows any of these characteristics, it might be time to get it professionally graded. Now, here's what you've been waiting for. If you're one of the incredibly lucky people to own a 1957 Lincoln Wheat Penny with a mint mark, especially one from Denver or San Francisco, and your coin is in mint state condition or features a rare minting error, then you might be holding a small fortune in the palm of your hand. Because believe it or not, this little copper coin, this simple 1-cent piece, could be worth as much as $40,000. Yes, you heard that right. $40,000 for a penny. So don't underestimate the power of your pocket change. Old coins are more than metal, they're time travelers, storytellers, and sometimes, secret treasures waiting to be discovered. Today, we're going on a fascinating journey into the world of vintage coins, and not just any coin, but one that might just be sitting in your collection right now. We're talking about the 1941 Lincoln Wheat Penny with a mint mark, an ordinary-looking copper coin that, under the right conditions, could be worth an eye-popping amount of money. So, if you have a jar of old coins, or you've inherited a collection from a relative, don't go anywhere, because one of these small cents could be your unexpected windfall. Let's rewind the clock all the way to the year 1941. America was still recovering from the Great Depression, and World War II was just beginning to impact the world on a massive scale. Although the U.S. wouldn't officially enter the war until the bombing of Pearl Harbor in December of that year, the entire country was shifting. Families were tightening their belts. Industries were preparing for wartime production. There was uncertainty in the air, and yet, life carried on, and in the midst of this historic moment, the United States Mint quietly released a coin that would become iconic to generations of Americans, the 1941 Lincoln Wheat Penny. Now, let's dive into what makes this coin so special. The Lincoln Wheat Penny had already been in circulation for over 3 decades by 1941. First minted in 1909, this design was groundbreaking because it was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person, none other than President Abraham Lincoln, the great emancipator. The obverse shows Lincoln's distinguished profile, along with the classic American phrases, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the coin's date, 1941. Depending on the location where the coin was minted, you may find a small letter just below the year, a mint mark. This tiny letter is far more important than it seems. It tells us where the coin was made. No mint mark? That means it was produced in Philadelphia. Ad? That's the Denver Mint.ans. You've got yourself a San Francisco mint penny. Now flip the coin over, and you'll see the beloved wheat reverse, 2 sheaves of wheat arched along the left and right edges, encasing the words, 1 cent, and United States of America. Just beneath, you'll find the Latin motto, E pluribus unum, which translates to, out of many, one. This timeless design was used from 1909 until 1958 and became one of the most collected and recognized coins in American history. But within those years, certain mintings, like the one in 1941, carry unique stories and unexpected value. Let's talk mintage. The numbers might surprise you. In 1941, the U.S. Mint struck over 887 million Lincoln Wheat Pennies across all 3 locations, Philadelphia, 684 million plus Denver, 128 million plus San Francisco, 92 million plus. Yes, that's nearly a billion coins. So, the natural question is, if there were so many made, why would a 1941 penny ever be valuable? Here's where it gets fascinating. While most of those coins were heavily circulated, scratched, worn, and used in everyday transactions, only a tiny fraction were saved in pristine condition. And an even smaller number contain rare minting errors or standout features that skyrocket their value for collectors today. Let's break down what makes a 1941 penny valuable. First, the condition. Coins are graded on a 70-point scale. A penny graded MS-60 to MS-70 is considered mint state, meaning it has never been used in circulation. The surface is clean. The details are sharp. The shine is bright. And if it still retains its original coppery red luster, it can command serious attention from collectors. Then, there are the rare errors and varieties, and this is where things get really interesting. Some of the most prized error types include double dies, where parts of the design, like the date or lettering, appear slightly doubled due to a second strike. These are incredibly popular and can drastically increase a coin's value. Off-center strikes, where the design is misaligned, repunched mint marks, where the mint letter, D or S, was struck more than once, creating a ghosted or shadow-like effect, die cracks, small raised lines caused by damage to the minting die, clipped planchets, where the coin is literally missing a piece due to being cut incorrectly. These errors are often overlooked by the untrained eye, but they can transform a simple penny into a high-dollar collectible. Now, let's focus on the mint mark variations. Coins from the San Francisco Mint, marked S, are often sought after because they were produced in lower quantities than their Philadelphia counterparts. But Denver, D. Minted coins can also be valuable, especially if they contain errors or are preserved in high grade, and speaking of grade, grading is everything in the coin world. A 1941 penny in circulated condition might only be worth a few cents. But the same coin, when professionally graded MS-66 or higher, especially with original red coloring and zero wear, can bring thousands of dollars at auction. There are even recorded cases where these coins have sold for more than the price of a brand new car. You might be wondering, how do I know if my 1941 penny is valuable? Here's a simple checklist. Check the mint mark. D or S versions tend to be worth more. Inspect the coin under bright light or magnification. Look for doubled numbers, unusual marks, or off-center designs. Examine the coin's color. A bright red copper tone means less oxidation, usually indicating higher value. Check the edges. A clean, sharp edge means less wear. Consider having it graded by a professional company like PCGS or NGC. If your coin checks off several of these boxes, you could be holding a valuable piece of American history in the palm of your hand. Now, here's the most exciting part. And the reason many collectors dream of finding this particular penny: there have been verified, professionally graded 1941 Lincoln Wheat pennies with mint marks that have stunned the coin world with their auction prices, and if you have one in superb condition, with a strong strike, full red color, and possibly a rare error, you could be looking at a coin that's worth up to $55,000. Yes, you heard that right. 55,000 US dollars. All from a humble little penny that millions of people have ignored, tossed aside, or given away. So next time you see a penny dated 1941, don't be so quick to dismiss it. Flip it over. Look at the details. Study the edges. Because you just might be staring at a fortune disguised as 1 cent. And that wraps up today's deep dive into the incredible story of the 1941 Lincoln Wheat Penny. If you enjoyed this journey through history and hidden value, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss another coin treasure reveal. Thanks for watching, and remember, sometimes the smallest coins carry the biggest surprises. Happy collecting, and may your next penny change your life.